Okay, it's still CPAC on Wednesday, and we're with Myra Adams, who's a freelance columnist who's written for World Net Daily, National Review, all others different places. Myra, what are you doing here at CPAC this year? Obviously, you're credentialed as media, so what will you be doing?
I'm going to be roaming around, seeing friends, writing a piece for one of the places that I write called CPAC Review. But mostly just taking it all in, trying to get the feel and the pulse of what's happening in the world of conservative politics.
Now, obviously, conservative politics has had some big changes over the last couple of years. Have you been surprised by them? Are you surprised at where Donald Trump is with conservatives, especially evangelicals?
That is a multifaceted question. Let's start at the beginning. I think Donald Trump hijacked the Republican Party. I don't think he was a conservative, like a traditional conservative, because he actually had been a Democrat, and he went over to the Republican side. But when he won, it was a big surprise to everybody. And I think in many ways he has tried very hard to become a conservative, and particularly with judges and tax reform. In some ways he has become very much a conservative that we were hoping a conservative president would be like.
Well, either becoming conservative or keeping the customer satisfied, because he does have a retail background, actually. Nobody brings that possibility up, but I tend to bring it up a bit. Is there someone in particular you're looking to see here, or something in particular you're looking to observe?
I'm just curious about basically the general feel about what Trump says, what the president says, what the vice president says, just talking to different people and just kind of feeling about really some of the key questions are we going to keep the House? Are we going to keep the Senate?
I'll be asking you about those questions in a few moments.
So I'm just here really to take a big pulse. That's my primary mission here. I come every year. I've been coming to CPAC when it was like a very small group and not that many people went to it. So I haven't come consistently for many years, but I've been here the last 3 or 4 years consistently. And it is just fun to just see people. It's like high school in some ways. It's like a high school reunion.
It's
like a high school reunion.
Well, I must admit it is a lot of fun to see folks that I know, and especially it'll be fun this year because, as I said, my sons are here, so I'll be able to introduce them a little bit, which none of the people here really have met my family. All right, now I'm going to ask you the questions I've been asking everybody. So let's start with you. Year one of Donald Trump as president. Thumbs up or thumbs down, or half and half?
Thumbs up on some things, particularly Neil Gorsuch. Conservative judges.
Okay, let's combine this because this is going to be asked. So your favorite thing, your least favorite thing, and then thumbs up or thumbs down overall.
My favorite thing I would say is tax reform.
Yeah. Hey, AJ, so we're going to
definitely tax reform.
You're not coming back over here, though, I'm assuming.
And I would then say Neil Gorsuch, and also just all the conservative judges that he is nominating a slew of conservative judges.
And they're getting through. The one thing the Senate's been doing is getting those judges through.
Mitch McConnell is a real hero in that regard. So yes, in that sense, yay, thumbs up. I do not like the way he comports himself as president. I think sometimes he acts less than presidential. I think he is sometimes childish in the way he calls people's names or tweets. Or I think sometimes he just doesn't act like we've come to expect a president to act. And I think that turns people off, and it can actually help undo the good things that he has done as president, i.e. the good economy, tax reform, judges. He has a problem in the way he conducts himself, and that is going to be a continuing problem. And if we lose the House, I think that's going to be one of the reasons why we would have lost the House.
Okay, speaking of which, House and Senate, do we keep them? Do we lose them? What are the odds right now, would you say?
I believe we're going to lose the House. I don't believe we're going to lose the Senate, but I think we're going to lose some seats in the Senate. But
well, we only have one seat to lose.
There are again, it's going to be a wave. I have no doubt there's going to be a wave. Now, I say that before a certain event happens, and this is an event that everyone needs to watch. March 13th, there's going to be a special election in Pennsylvania, a district that Trump won by 20 points in 2016. And it's a special election, and we have a younger Democrat running named Connor Lamb, who was a veteran. He seems like a reasonable person, good-looking young guy. He's the kind of person that the Democrats have been wanting to attract.
In other words, a person who's not a Democrat in terms of how he carries himself.
That is correct. And the Republican is a heavier set white guy who is he's a state representative. Rick Ciccone, I think is his name. Right now, the last poll I saw showed Conor Lamb only losing by 4 percentage points, which is not a good sign. That's almost in the margin of error. I know that the Republican National Committee, or the RNCC, is going to be spending millions. I mean, at least I think I heard $5 million is what they're currently thrown at it. Republicans have to win that seat. If we don't win that seat, that could be the bellwether to end all bellwethers, because this is Pennsylvania, a district that Trump won by 20 points. That's huge. We should run away. We shouldn't even have to worry about that district. But the fact that they're concerned about it, Trump's been there. He's going to be there again. Pence has been there. RNC knows they've got to win that seat, because if they don't, the press is going to go ballistic about this is the sign of the wave that's coming. Everyone's going to drown. Except Democrats are all going to swim. But Republicans are all going to drown. The wave's going to take them all down. March 13th, mark your calendars. That's going to be
What can Trump, in your opinion, do to help the Republicans keep the House and expand in the Senate?
I think he can show some presidential leadership. I think that Trump, obviously he means well in terms of his trying to get legislation through, like infrastructure, but I don't think he comes across as a presidential leader, particularly in areas like this Russia problem. I mean, the Russians literally tried to affect our election in a very negative way. They wanted to dip their hands in our electoral process, and there's no doubt that they did. And Trump has not taken a leadership role in that. Obviously, he's been concerned about the collusion, and that's a whole other story. But he does have to face the fact that Russia did try to interfere with our elections, and he's not showing leadership about that, because that is a national security issue. So that's one thing. But the other thing, too, I think he needs to really show leadership in terms of legislation, getting legislation passed. If he's going to get infrastructure passed, he's.
You mean like the tax bill?
Yeah, I mean, he showed some leadership on that, not as much as I think he probably could have, but he basically likes to delegate to the House and the Senate, because he doesn't really know that much about how Washington works, and he admits he doesn't, so he delegates. And that's what he does. He delegates to Paul Ryan, or he delegates to Mitch McConnell. I think he needs to be more involved, take a leadership role.
Okay, final question. And this is the question, again, I've asked everybody this question. There's been talk about a deal, a DACA deal, the wall for DACA legalization. Would you say make the deal if the deal can be made?
In other words, have the wall.
Will you go for DACA if we get the wall, or do you think a deal is necessary, or do you want just one or the other, and you don't want a deal?
Well, I think it's a really hard question to answer, because the wall is a significant amount of money that has to be appropriated. It's going to be upwards of, I mean, I don't know the amount, but I know it's billions of dollars to build this wall. Can we afford that kind of expenditure when our military is in desperate need of sprucing up these days? DACA is a whole nother story, because that is an emotional issue that has become, it's the ultimate issue for Democrats to turn and use against Republicans. So I don't think you can really compare the two.
So you don't think it's going, the deal makes a difference one way or the other, really, because it's.
I don't think the two should be tied together, is what I'm saying. I do not believe the two should be tied together, because the wall is, if you're talking about a physical wall.
Well, that's what they've been testing. I mean, they've tested prototypes.
It's like, that's medieval. I believe there are better ways to keep our borders secure than building a physical wall. What about like drones everywhere and monitoring stations? There could be so many less expensive ways to do it than physically build a wall that is really, I mean, China did that in the Middle Ages.
Well, Israel did that, and it's been very highly effective against terrorism.
Well, I understand, but that is a smaller situation. That is, I don't think you can actually compare the two. I believe that there is a better way to guard our borders than to build a wall, because I think the wall is going to be so expensive And I, for one, believe that our nation needs to spend, we have to be careful about how much money we spend, and also we have to spend it right. And I am a proponent of spending money right now on our military, because I think our military has been neglected, and we need to, after all these decades of war, we have to get them back up to a certain level, because all our equipment and everything has been decimated by years and years of war in a very harsh environment.
All right, Myra, where can people find you again?
Okay, well, you can Google me. I'm oftentimes on National Review, or I'm on World Net Daily, or on Red State, or you can go to MyraAdams.com. And usually I have my latest column up there, and whatever.
And I noticed you bought a book, an interesting book today. What's that book that you decided to buy today?
I did buy a book. I'm very familiar with Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with us. My husband's Catholic, and we say the Rosary together. And I love Mary. Mary was a beautiful Jewish lady. And,
Who's the author?
Who's the author? Oh, wait a minute.
Eric, you're
I have an agent over here that I must answer to.
Apparently, I've gotten an agent now. But Myra,
the author is Peter, and I look forward to reading this book because I believe Mary is actually not given as much credit as she deserves in Protestant churches.
And in a few weeks, we're going to have something to talk about concerning Christianity and a project you're working on. We're going to just hint at that, yes, but we will talk about that further.
It has to do with the Shroud of Turin and how the shroud can be used as an evangelical tool to bring people to Christ.
Amen. Myra Adams, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.